Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Today, we're going to talk about the importance of why. In 2019, author Simon Sinek gave a TED talk called How Great Leaders Inspire Action. This 18.5 minute long viral TED talk called on business leaders to start with why. Why isn't just a word, it's a powerful concept. By the way, Simon went on to write a book and called it Start with Why. In this telling book, Simon demonstrated why organizations guided by this concept will succeed more often than those who don't. But does this work in teams? Will it work in your personal relationships? Let's find out. Let's put it this way. If your boss comes to you and says, I need you to take this additional project on top of your current workload, what is first thing you're gonna ask? It probably has nothing to do with setting your alarm or rearranging your schedules or any other version of how you're gonna get the extra work done. So when someone asks you to alter a current behavior, your first question should be why? Because you're not gonna try something new or hard unless you're motivated to do so. As a leader, when you manage your teams or if you're in a relationship with someone else, always focus on why. For example, we need to improve our hiring practices because our current process isn't attracting a diverse enough pool of candidates. Now, if you see, the second part of the statement is the why. But if we just say we need to improve our hiring practices, okay, but why? And if that is not explained, it's going to create confusion. When people know why they're being asked to do something, they're much more likely to do it. So, next time you're preparing to deliver an important message to your team, make sure you're clear on the why behind it. I remember a story. Long time ago, I was asked to work on a data which was very complicated, thousands of lines, and I was asked to publish a report. It wasn't communicated to me why that report is needed or what's the outcome going to be. I went ahead and did my job, and while playing with the data, I could figure out a lot of insights. But since I was not asked about this, it stayed with me. Next day, I asked my boss, how did the meeting go? And she was not very excited and mentioned that it went well, but there are certain other things that I don't think our project can match. And when we had the discussion, and I realized this report was needed for us to find out if there are certain talent decisions that need to be deployed in the organization. And when I shared my insights, it was very evident that the path we had taken was not going to give us the results. I wasn't aware why we are doing it. There was no way for me to figure out and articulate this slice of data in front of my boss. This is not an isolated incident, I'm sure. There are many incidents which have happened with you. I'll be curious to know. Why don't you just comment and let me know your incident, and probably we're going to do a podcast on your story. Let's come back. If you share your why, you'll be more persuasive. If you share why, you'll be able to drive more participation. However, communicating why or the purpose is more complicated than just sharing a few inspiring words and motivational talks. In fact, when conveying purpose, there are three factors to consider if you want your purpose to be well received. Number one, strike the balance. Push them but don't kill them. A purpose should be exciting, and for a purpose to incite motivation and trigger excitement, it must be challenging. The thought of pursuing said purpose must stretch members outside of their comfort zone, but not so far as to overwhelm them. While you start running for marathon and you have a team that you need to coach, you need to strike a balance as to how much you can push them so they continuously challenge that limit, but at the same time it should not become a burden for them so that next time they don't come for the run. Number 2, define but don't design. Purpose should inform people with a direction to inspire towards and not limit their freedom to choose how they get there. This is difficult sometimes for leaders as they must walk a fine line between governance and guidance. A lot of micromanagers will find this very irritating because they like to design. Number 3, what if we get it or what if we don't? Your team should be aware what is going to be the outcome if you achieve what you have set out to achieve, and if you don't, so that they have the clear outcome in front of them. When communicating, so play to people's values. Imagine what energizes them. Research shows that the majority of people want to feel part of something larger and more important than themselves. In fact, when employees were asked to rate their importance of meaningful work, 83% said very important, while another 15% said fairly important, which means that an overwhelming 98% at least rated meaningful work as important. Now, meaningful work is a very simple definition of what I do and how it impacts the overall objective of the organization. A lot of organizations and teams struggle with it, but as a leader, your objective is to break down the larger pieces into smaller chunks and let people see how they become levers in impacting the overall outcome. For example, if your target is to get 1 CR of sales and you have given 10 lakh as a target to each employee, articulate in front of them and show them with data modeling and some graphs that what is the impact the overall team gonna have if every one of them miss their target by 10%. You're gonna make 10% less as a team. What about some contingencies? What about somebody is not able to do 90%? All of this is needed for you to create the purpose around the team, that why are we doing it? Because achieving sales numbers is the outcome, but why do we need to achieve those sales numbers? I think that story is compelling and that can be applied to any team that you're working with. Improvement requires change, and change is uncomfortable. If leaders communicate why the change is happening, employees have a better understanding of the purpose behind the change and are more likely to be willing to pivot. When your entire team is on board with a change in process or practice, you are much likely to experience successful transformation. In your next team meeting, try starting your communication with a why. Thank you for listening.
You were listening to Dream Higher audio blog. If you like what you've heard, do share it with your network. We are now on Spotify and YouTube. Or visit anchor.fm and search for Dream Higher. See you next time. Till then, dream higher and be amazing.